Hi, and welcome to the Living in a Prius YouTube channel. Today I wanted to talk about something that I've mentioned in some videos in the past, which is what I experienced while living in Silicon Valley. If you're a subscriber to this channel, then you know that I've spent decades working as a housing developer. My focus has been on creating affordable housing, and I have built hundreds of apartment units, hosted housing conferences, and started nonprofits to try to address the housing crisis in the United States. In fact, I even started a national apartment brand called Amenity Suites, which is focused on developing high-quality apartments that the average renter can afford. So housing is a subject that's important to me. If you're a subscriber to this channel, you also know that 2.5 years ago, I gave away everything that I own, moved into my car, and moved to Silicon Valley. I made the move because I wanted to learn about artificial intelligence and advanced technologies for creating better and more innovative housing solutions. What I didn't expect was the housing situation that I found in Silicon Valley. But before I dive into that, let me explain Silicon Valley. If you're not familiar with the area, Silicon Valley stretches from San Francisco in the north down to San Jose in the south. The heart and soul of Silicon Valley is Palo Alto. That's where I lived. It's the heart and soul of Silicon Valley because that's where Stanford University is located, and Stanford is where Silicon Valley was born. If you visit Stanford today, this is what you'll see. This is the road in front of Stanford University's main campus. And as far as you can see, all the way down the road are RVs, cars, and vans where people are living. This is in a community where the average home value is $3.2 million. So even if you make a lot of money working at the university or for one of the big tech companies, it's still very difficult to afford living in Silicon Valley. In fact, a study by the Hoover Institute found that hundreds of workers earning over $100,000 a year were living in their cars, vans, or RVs throughout Silicon Valley. Another article by Bloomberg shows an image of the street in front of Google's corporate headquarters, where Google employees are living in their cars, vans, and RVs. This is a place where the average employee makes $124,000 a year in base pay and an average of $17,000 in bonuses for over $140,000 a year. So why can't these people find a place to live? Well, in addition to the average home value being over $3.2 million, apartments are also incredibly expensive. Here's the results of an apartment search on apartments.com for Palo Alto. You can see here that apartments start at over $4,000 a month for a one-bedroom. So the option is to live homeless in your car. Here's the WeWork where I worked at in Palo Alto. And in front of our building, you can see that once again, there are a lot of RVs. And I can tell you, there were also a lot of people like myself living in their small car. In fact, I knew one guy who worked at this WeWork and tried to sleep in the office, but when he got found out, he bought a tent and slept behind the building near the railroad tracks. Now, one thing I want to point out is that in Silicon Valley, the people who are homeless are not your traditional homeless. They are people who are doing it by choice, like the guy I mentioned, because they are focused on trying to make it big in the tech industry. The proof that the traditional homeless don't live in this area is simply the cost of living. In fact, the cost of living in Palo Alto is 48% higher than the national average. Groceries alone are 43% higher. That is why people who are truly homeless in Silicon Valley end up in San Francisco, because it's the largest city in the Silicon Valley area that has homeless resources. This has led to a crisis of homelessness in San Francisco. In fact, a recent study by the San Francisco Chronicle showed that almost 8,000 homeless people were living in the San Francisco area. So, I am not trying to say that anyone should feel sorry for people living in Silicon Valley who are living in their cars, vans, or RVs because they're tech workers or tech entrepreneurs. I made the choice to live in my car because I wanted the opportunity to learn valuable Silicon Valley lessons. Nonetheless, I found people making high incomes in this country, living in their vehicles in Silicon Valley, to be a fascinating social phenomenon. So, I just wanted to share that with you. If you're not a subscriber to this channel, then please click the subscription button below. And thanks for taking the time to watch this video.